Hello and welcome to the Collapse Experiment. And today I am discussing The Night Comes for Us, which is quite the film, as you will see. So this is a 2018 Indonesian film that stars the same cast and crew as The Raid 2, Headshot, different directors, but you get the point. You're gonna have a lot of the same style of action, except with The Night Comes for Us. Holy shit! It is a cluster mess, if you will, in more ways than one. The movie starts out with our hero, who is a paid assassin for the local branch of the Triads that's assigned to wipe out a village that has been skimming off the top, drug money, and they just can't have that shit. So instead of just going in and killing the guys responsible for stealing from the Triad, they say, we're gonna wipe out the entire fishing village because we can. Because that makes sense. Nobody's gonna come after you for doing something like that ever. That's just weird. So anyways, our hero proceeds to waste away this village, and him and his crew are standing on the beach, and there's one person left that happens to be a little girl standing by herself. And for some reason, after 3 years of doing stuff like this, he has a change of heart and turns on his own guys, kills them, runs away with her, and instead of disappearing like any sane person would do, oh no, he goes back to the place that he used to live, that his friends in his previous life still live at, and gets them involved in protecting this little girl after they haven't seen this dude for 3 years. So they volunteer in order to help save her life, putting themselves at risk, and you will see they put themselves at more than just risk, if you know what I mean. And yeah, there's a very long extended fight scene in the middle of the movie where these countless dozens of guys come into this apartment building to kill this little girl. Now, if you're looking for a plot, man tries to save girl. That is the plot of the movie, right there. They try to do this whole history between him and like a couple of other people, and like they're pissed at him, but it really doesn't play into the film at all. And it actually becomes a problem at the end of the movie, at least for me, because one of the guys who works for the Triad still has been covering for the main dude and saving his ass throughout the movie. But then they end up having this fight scene at the end for unresolved differences that they didn't settle years ago. So even though the guy has been saving his ass, putting his own life in jeopardy, they continue to fight. And the fight itself doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense because the main guy who's trying to save the girl, he's beaten up pretty bad. Several fights, countless injuries throughout the film. And then he's supposed to fight this other dude that's been saving his ass, who's untouched, ready to go for a good fight. And the other guy comes limping in after getting the shit kicked out of him for roughly like 2 hours of the film. And yeah, all of a sudden, it's an equal fight, which makes no sense. But yeah, so things I don't like about the film. The violence is just unjustified. Like, you're sending in dozens of guys to kill a little girl. You're losing your power base. What makes you a superior force in your area, you're just losing men. It's freaking crazy. They lose dozens of guys just trying to get into the apartment building. Um, they lose more guys throughout the rest of the film. The main assassins that this guy hires, he loses them as well. It's just a total shit show. Doesn't make any freaking sense whatsoever, other than this guy ordered the entire village to be destroyed and killed, and heaven forbid this little girl like walks away to some weird orphanage where she's probably going to end up into like child prostitution or something. It doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. Then you have some characters that just don't play a role at all other than like cannon fodder, because they definitely were not eye candy. There's the lesbian couple, the assassin lesbian couple. Okay, there's the Asian girl and the white blonde chick. Apparently, whoever was writing the script had a thing that they found on Pornhub that they really, really enjoyed and decided to throw it in. So, yeah, there's this weird lesbian couple who's going around slaughtering guys. So, any scene where they're killing guys, they're total badasses. Like, I really wouldn't want to mess around with them in any regard. But then you have a fight scene between the lesbian couple and the straight woman. At least I think she's straight. They didn't really show like her preference, but I'm assuming this is why they're kind of pissed off at this chick. So there's a fight between these three, and it's very slow, it's very cumbersome. All of a sudden, none of them appear to be badasses. It's like they should have just resulted in like pulling hair, like clawing. I mean, it was just poorly done. It was not entertaining at all, except for the ending. That I could have seen a little bit more of, but yeah, the lesbian couple just they were there. They were just there. Like I guess they needed like an extra 10 minutes in the movie. Otherwise, it just didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. And then there's the third chick, who they didn't really explain her story a whole hell of a lot. She rides around on a motorcycle. She likes little machine guns. She seems to be super smart. There's a short fight scene between her and our hero. And then after a short conversation, all of a sudden, she's just like, yeah, I'll help you save the girl and risk my life, even though things are pretty good for me and life is good and cushy and I've got nothing to worry about. But yeah, sure, I kill people for a living. I'll go ahead and help save this little girl, which doesn't even, I don't think she has any dialogue in the movie. What the hell is up with this little girl? Things I liked about the film: a lot of creativity. There was a lot of creativity. But unfortunately, along with some of the fight scenes and the new stuff that we're seeing, there's also a lot of gore. This goes back to things I didn't really care for, didn't really add to the film at all. Like Eli Roth hostile type gore, which I'm guessing is just very common in Indonesian films, because even in The Big Four, they tried to play gore as in funny. Like there was a scene in The Big Four where a girl blew this guy's head off. The body collapses onto the ground on top of her, and heart's still pumping. He's still gushing. She's kind of like, ew, ew, ew. Like she didn't want to touch it, but then like he's squirting all over, and it's just fucking disgusting. So, but it was done to try to be funny, and it just didn't work. Like that shit did not work for me. Um, Back to The Night Comes for Us. A lot of gore. A lot of gore. A whole hell of a lot of gore. Along with the unjustified fight scenes. But with the fight scenes, you had a lot of creativity, a lot of new things that you're seeing. At one point, our hero has a camera mounted onto his back, so it looks like you're viewing the fight from like a first-person shooter video game. You can see his head and the top of his torso. He's doing all the moves, But at the same time, you could also tell that it was very cumbersome and uncomfortable for him because it was just very, very choppy. Things weren't smooth. It only lasted for a few seconds, but I could see where this could be actually be very fun to see in a kung fu film, a martial arts action movie where it's almost like you are playing the character, if you will. Perhaps next time they'll think about using something small and lightweight like a GoPro that would be less cumbersome to mount. I don't know. I just have a feeling that they used something heavy and big in order to film this because that's just kind of how the scene played out. Overall, how would I rate the film? Uh, the things I didn't like about it and the things I did like about it, it's this weird balancing act. I didn't like the lack of plot, even though the plot was very much John Wickish. I mean, if you look at John Wick, they killed his dog and stole his car. Now we're going on movie number 4. So not saying that that's a bad thing, but at the same time, did it really play into the movie? Was it just this MacGuffin that you see throughout the film where, like, all of a sudden a little girl appears and you're like, oh yeah, that's why all this is happening? Because of her. Okay, this makes sense. But then again, you also have all the cool fight scenes, the creativity involved, the different sets, and all the flashy moves and everything. I mean, it was entertaining. It was very entertaining. But other than that, like, am I gonna go out and watch this movie again? Probably not. I'm not going to. One and done. That's fine. So overall, I'd have to say, man, if I'm being generous, 3 out of 5 stars. If I'm being honest, probably 2. Because it's worth watching if you're into martial arts action movies. Is it worth watching again or putting on like best movie of the year or something like that? No. Let's just face it. If you're a fan of like the Raid and the Raid 2 and you have that itch, you want to see something very similar but you want to see something new, you should probably check out this movie. If if you want to watch something better, yeah, go check out just about anything else that's out there. Um, yeah, it's very. I'm gonna just refer to it as like kung fu porn. Okay, it's kung fu porn. There's really no plot to it. You're just there for the action. You kind of know what the money shot's gonna look like, and you're just there to get your kicks in the meantime. It's kung fu porn. That's about it. 2 out of 5. Keep on typing. You can find this on Netflix.